This conference will now be recorded.
Well, thank you very much, Karandev, and thank you to the board, EWRI board, for having me present. So, before I start, I want to introduce some of the key members of the team. We have several people that worked on this study present here today. Karandev Singh, he's one of the two technical leads of the study, and Kamyar has been my supervisor. Oh, a cheerleader. And then Jim Wigging is the project manager of the study. And then Liz, present here today, Liz D'Abramo is the person who worked on the groundwater model. And then Ben Tuskison, he has been our consultant on the reoperation, FIRO operations. So he has been an advisor. I had the pleasure of working with him for, in the system reop as well. So, did I forget anybody? No. Yeah. So if you have any difficult questions, I think we have enough people here to answer them. So today I'm going to talk about the motivation behind this study, how we conducted the study, what models we used, what results we have found, and what we are going to do or we are working on next. So as you all know, having been working in the water resources in California, especially in Central Valley, that we are facing several challenges like high flood, unreliable water supplies, and declining groundwater levels. With the changing climate, we're going to see a shift in the hydrograph, meaning more with the rise in temperature, we will have earlier snow melt, and some of the precipitation is going to come down as rain. So with that, we will have higher flows come during winter months and less, there will be reduction happening in the fall, summer months. So this red line that I just drew, if you were to, let me pull up my pointer. Pointer option, laser pointer, got it. So with this, see my pointer, yeah. So the blue line here shows the current hydrology flow into the Merced flow on the current hydrology. And the blue line is the projected hydrology for 2040, and the brown line is for 2070. So if you were to just compare, look at 1 month, March, inflow is about 60,000 acre feet per year. And in 2040, this is going to go up to about 70. And in 2070, this is going to go up to about 90,000 acre feet. So from 60 to 90. And then if you were to look at later in the year, existing around mid-June, the flow is about 80,000 acre feet, is going to come down to about 25, 30,000 acre feet. So it's a big change that's going to result from from rise of temperature. So we have to adapt to this change. And we feel that flood mark could be one of the tools in the toolbox. So the objective of the study is to test this concept. And what we're going to do, we will conduct a headwater to groundwater analysis, assess the vulnerability of the watershed to climate change for flood protection, water supply, and ecosystems, and develop strategies reflecting a range of complexity, and quantitatively evaluate the performance of these strategies. So what is flood mar? I notice most of you are aware of it or heard about it. So it's an integrated water management strategy. By the way, this was coined by Kamyar some 6 years ago when we were working on water system re-op study and the wafer report, water available for replenishment that Jim was leading. So this involves use of high flows from rainfall and snow melt for managed aquifer recharge, and recharge on ag lands, working landscape, and natural managed lands. And this could include features like reoperation of reservoirs, FERO, forecasting from reservoir operations, modification to the to reservoirs, like over outlets to the outlets. Then could include new conveyance, new recharge basins, or change in operations and such. So this study was done in partnership with MID, Merced Irrigation District. And this shows the study area includes the upper Merced watershed, the watershed that has the creeks, several creeks coming out of it, and the main reservoir in the watershed on Merced River, Lake McClure. The dam is called New Exchequer, and the diversion dam Crocker Hoffman, and a few other structures down below. And it has about 800 miles of conveyance and about 130,000 acres of farmland. To conduct the study, we assembled a set of tools that allowed us to study from headwaters to groundwater. Tools like SAC FMA that estimated the rainfall runoff in the main watershed, main Merced. Then down here, which is the rainfall runoff of the creeks. Then the stream flow model based on HEC-RAS. And then a reservoir operation simulation model that was for the main dam and the diversion dams below it, and a F2M sim, which is based on C2V sim groundwater model. And then sustainable conservation. Oh yeah, I forgot about Rachel. She's from sustainable conservation. She replaced Daniel Mountjoy. So Daniel worked with us on he led the development of GRAT for Merced. So this model contains all the conveyance in the valley, all the agricultural lands, the current use on the land, the crops, permeability, the soil types, everything. And then this IDC, the root zone model, this allowed us to plan the sequence or the distribution of water as to timing, how much water for how long, depending on crop and soil type and per soil moisture and things like that. So these work together, and we also had KLite to ensure that we met Delta requirements. We did whatever changes we did not impact Delta operations, made sure it was in excess. And we ran through 100 years of hydrology through each of these models and conducted it from using 3 hours to monthly time step. So this chart here shows the climate change and the hydrology that we developed. It was again quite elaborate, wherein we developed 30 different climate hydrologies using information from the global climate models. What we did is the scatter that you see, the blue color that you see here, shows by 2040, this is where the changes, the most of the climate is going to land. Meaning, by the way, this graph shows change in temperature from 0 to 4 degrees, 4 degrees being at the top and 0 degree at the bottom. And then change in precipitation to the left is minus 20 degrees, to the right is plus 30%, not minus 20 to 30% change in precipitation. So it basically indicated that in 2014, this is where the scatter is going to be, around 2-degree increase in temperature and about 0% change in precipitation on average. But in 2070, we see more, it's moved up higher, this cloud has moved up higher, showing about centering around 3-degree increase in temperature.
It's your vertical and horizontal axis. I can't read them.
Yeah, you're right. The vertical axis is change in temperature. The bottom being 0 degree, top being 4 degrees Celsius. And this is the zero line for vertical axis, and left minus on the horizontal axis 20% change in precipitation, and right is 30% increase in precipitation. Thank you for asking that. So this chart here shows the probability of such hydrology happening. So what we did is we took a weighted average of these probabilities, and then after running each of the 36 different hydrologies through all the 9 models, we actually then did a weighted average based on this scatter, this information, this probability information. The results I'm going to show you today are based on that average for 2040 and for 2070. So as far as strategies are concerned, we came up with 3 different levels of implementation of flood mark. One being skimming up water off the river during high flows and recharging land, or either by taking them to to on-farm recharge or keeping the canals full of water. So the results that I'm presenting here today are just based on keeping the canals full of water, and that's again still substantial. That's easy to do, less interference with the ag operation. Level 2 includes what was in level 1, plus we do FIRO on the reservoir, which is Lake McClure. And level 3 includes the first 2, plus we aggressively do flood FIRO. We actually go up and down the rule curve, and then we do some infrastructure improvements. So in the presentation here today, I'm going to present on results of level 1 based on streamlined permitting process of the water board, which is 90-20 rule, meaning water will be diverted after it has hit the 90th percentile flow, and maximum of water diverted will be 20% of the total flow. And then FIRO-MAR, and second here, and for the level 3, going to present what we call a recharge pool approach, which I'm going to discuss in the next slide. So in the FIRO concept, this is a rule curve, which is from October 31st through mid-March. This is the rule curve for Lake McClure. And we will allow to encroach into the flood space by about 50,000 acre feet. And this would be based on weather information forecast. And recharge pool, what we would do is encouraging the conservation pool and move this water into groundwater storage. And when this goes, by the end of the season, this would likely fill back up. So we would have gained this additional water supply as a result. And this could be used, the additional water supply we generate could be used for multiple purposes, like ecosystem. And so now I'm going to share with you the results that we have observed. So first thing is that we notice that climate change is altering the surface runoff pattern, which we know, and that's increasing the flood risk and is reducing the water supply reliability. So in this chart here, this chart on the right I had shown you earlier, basically we saw there is a shift taking place in the runoff, and as a result, more water is coming down. By the way, this chart has 2 things: current climate and 3% with 10%, 3% in 3-degree increase in temperature and 10% change in precipitation, increase in precipitation. Information about that, which is upper half is storage in Lake McClure and lower is flow in Merced River, coming into the reservoir and going out of the reservoir, inflow and outflow both. So this brown color here shows inflow under climate change, 3%, 3-degree increase in temperature, and outflow is shown in dark brown. And this brown color here, the gray color, shows under current climate. So you can see, notice, you'll see that under climate change, the reservoir filled up sooner, faster than it filled up in the current climate, because the water came in faster in a short time. And the peak was a lot higher. It was about 70,000 CFS coming down compared to, it was much less, 40,000 or so in the baseline. Then another thing we notice is if you look at this circle here, as soon as the water exceeded certain threshold, the reservoir went into emergency operation and started releasing 6,000 CFS in the canal. That's the capacity of the channel, the Merced River channel. And this storm that came in January resulted in flow lasting in the channel for about mid-February, up to mid-February. Then with the climate, under climate change condition, when we had a 3-degree temperature increase, we had a higher flow, and under the emergency operation, the outflow was brought down to 40,000 CFS, and this channel was operating at 6,000 CFS, had to operate until mid-March. So it took one more month of time period to drain that water that came in under climate change condition. Another thing to note here is that with climate change, we have increase in temperature, meaning increasing evapotranspiration, more water being used by crops. So that resulted in actually lower ending of the water year. We had less water in storage. So you can see several impacts resulting from change in climate in the reservoir operations. So here I'm going to share with you some of the changes we are noticing in flood, water supply, and ecosystem. Before I do that, I'm going to illustrate how the inflow is changing from November through March in Merced River watershed in coming into the reservoir. Under base condition, current condition, about 430,000 acre feet comes in, but by 2070, 620 will come in. So big increase in water coming in during the winter months, and during summer months, there is a reduction taking place when you have more water needed for agriculture purposes. And for agriculture, demand will increase because of the evaporation. So as far as the flood risk is concerned, you can see the channel is operating at 6,000 currently, and it has been operating fine, but with climate change, by 2070, the peak flow, 100-year peak flow, would go up to 30,000 CFS, 500% increase. And this is the average of that ensemble that I showed you in the water for climate change. And for water supply, this basin, Merced River Basin, groundwater basin, has an overdraft of 50,000 acre feet per year. Every year we draw more than comes in, and the balance is minus 50. With climate change by 2070 is going to double to 100,000 acre feet if we have to keep the same level of demand and not do anything. And for the surface water, this is actually, I'm running out of time, so I won't get into every detail. Then the proportion for groundwater dependent ecosystems, you will see for 77% of the month, the groundwater table is within the upper 30 feet of the ground. And by 2070, that would increase to only 50% of the month, we will have groundwater table within 30 feet from the surface. Means several of the trees won't have water for a longer period. And for fish, in September through April, because there will be less water coming during this period. No, this is the winter. This is in-stream salmon are spawning, so we are going to see a degradation happening. And then for off-channel habitat, we will see an increase because that's when the water will come down. The more water from runoff will come down during these months. That's why there is an improvement in this habitat, off-stream habitat. This chart here I'm going to use to explain the FERO concept as far as the reservoir operation is concerned. So this chart here shows two curves, baseline and another is with FERO operation. Both of these curves are for 3 degrees increase in temperature and 10% precipitation. Both of them are the same color, same period. So baseline being brown, everything here brown is the baseline, and blue color is the climate change. So you can see reservoir inflow is 70,000 acre feet, 70,000 cubic feet per second. After it goes into emergency operation, it comes down to 40,000 CFS. And with feeder operation, what we did a pre-release, pretty big, anticipating this storm coming in, we release some of the reservoir. When we do a pre-release, we create some storage in the reservoir that allows us to actually bring the flow down to 15,000 CFS from 40,000 CFS outflow from the reservoir. And another thing that we did is this dotted line that you see down here is the water from pre-release that continues to go into groundwater. That's being diverted for groundwater storage. Then another thing to note here is without the reoperation, without the feeder operation, the high flow would have stayed until mid-March. But with feeder operation, this will end around mid-February. So we will end it sooner, a month sooner. And yeah, that's another thing to note is the water that we would have banked in the reservoir as a result of feeder operation. We could actually use some of that water for ecosystem treatment, like releasing water to improve short bird habitat, off-channel habitat, or for spring pulses. And in the end, bring the curve back to the base case. So basically, the district will not face a water cost. We will get ecosystem benefits and some groundwater storage just by doing the reoperation. This chart here shows amount of water recharged under level 1, 2, and 3. Under level 1, we recharged about 18,000 acre feet just by keeping the water ditches full of water. And then level 2, which is with this plus Feromar, 65,000 acre feet. And by doing the recharge pool Feromar and level 1 goes up to 90,000. And it could go up higher depending on the climate conditions. And this is level 1, it doesn't require major infrastructure improvements. Now, next 3 slides, I'm going to talk about flood risk vulnerability under existing conditions. If we don't do anything, just face the climate change, what would happen? And then when we apply level 1, 2, and 3, how things would change. I'll show it for flood, water supply, and ecosystem. Yellow color bar here, the first one shows if we were to not do anything, just operate the reservoir as things are today. So Merced actually at 7,300 CFS, the channel capacity is 6,000. At 7,300, you're going to start seeing significant damage, flood damage. So this is the base case. At 7,300, you will have that. Now with by 2040, this flow would become 15,000, double of what it is today. And by 70, it's going to become 30,000 CFS, huge flood damage. So with level 1, as we know, we have been skimming off some water off of the river, but that does not change the peak flow. Hardly any change, no change at all. But with level 2, when we do a feeder operation, along with recharge, we can bring down this 29,000 down to 18 and 15,000 down to 9. Significant reduction. And with level 3, we can bring this with 29 down to 14, almost half. So certainly, we better look for some feeder operation and going into future to handle this the change that's on the way. For water supply reliability, we are going to measure change in the groundwater condition because we have a deficit, annual deficit of 51,000 acre feet. If we don't do anything, by 2070, this deficit is going to be 100,000 acre feet per year, double of what it is today. Huge deficit, major drawdown of groundwater. And with level 1, we will keep it low a little bit. With level 2, significant change. with just reoperation of the reservoir, just reoperation. So we can bring it down from 80 down to 57 and 100 down to 77. And with level 3, we can actually improve, make it better than it is today. So certainly FERO is the way to go, along with MAR that we are proposing here. For ecosystem, you will see if we were to not do anything, the yellow bar here shows for GDs, groundwater dependent ecosystems, there will be 77% of the months when we will have groundwater within 30 feet. And this would, by 70s, will be 50% of the months. As we do level 1, 2, and 3, we will see some improvement from 50 down to 56 because groundwater level will go up by recharge. For in-stream spawning, you will see again this number. If it goes up, means it's more acre feet, more habitat. So here the habitat is going down. Here the habitat is going up. With level 2 and 3, there is a significant increase in habitat. And for off-channel rearing habitat, actually currently is 212. For 1 and 2, actually, in fact, for some conditions it goes down. It becomes less, even less. So it depends how we operate, but certainly we have an opportunity to contribute to ecosystem improvement using the flood MAR approaches. So what we find is level 1, this is level 1, benefits water supply. Level 2 benefits provides improved water supply and also flood risk reduction. Level 3, in addition to the 2, we can also benefit ecosystem. However, it comes at a cost, more expense, more agencies will have to be involved, greater partnerships will have to be had. But the good thing is it will bring everybody together. They'll be operating the watershed together and hopefully cause improvement across all sectors. And we will also we'll be able to tap into funding that's come for water supply, of some for flood, some for ecosystem. So there'll be more funding opportunities. So that concludes my presentation on the Merced study, and all the reports have been posted on our website. There are 5 technical information reports, and there is a summary report that just came out a couple of weeks ago. So feel free to download them. And thanks to all of these partners here, Merced Irrigation District, that is a main partner, and several consultants that have made this study possible. Then going forward, California Natural Resource Agency liked our work on Merced. They said, we would like you to do the whole San Joaquin basin. So currently we are working on 5 watershed studies, headwater to groundwater analyses. And the team members I mentioned, they are all also involved. Calaveras River Watershed, Stanislaus River Watershed, Tuolumne River Watershed, Merced River Watershed. The reason we have to update this thing because in this new study, we are using a little refined approach for climate analysis, essentially using a weather generator to do this. So we will update the numbers for Merced. And then Chowchilla River, Fresno River, and Upper San Joaquin River. These studies will be completed by end of this year. And we have partnered, like in MID for Merced River, we had partnered with MID. For all these other 4 watershed studies, we have partnered with all agencies that operate the reservoir, all the water districts, all the irrigation districts, some flood districts. Then for Upper San Joaquin, we have also partnered with Fine Water Authority, PG&E, and South California Edison, and some federal agencies. So work is progressing quite well with the partnership and with the help we are getting. And we hope to be ready to share some information in next 6-8 months. Thank you very much, and we'll be happy to answer questions.